welcome everybody to Gardens, the Untold Story, and crop rotation. I think maybe Andy's spinning in his chair or something because we're losing him in his forest. Okay, he's got his face covered. All we can see is this little, triangle at the top there. Maybe he's a spaceship. But then that's this. Your cosmic spaceship is part of your YouTube channel,
Hey, did you see
it has amazing music and art.
So you've seen it. Great. Isn't it wonderful?
It is, Andy.
I had so much fun doing it. Oh, I have a new show I'm going to do real soon. Just like this. So, I use Zoom, but Zoom allows me to, just like you do, you can share share the screen. Yeah.
And
So
it's called Zumba or Zumba
Zoom,
or what?
Zoom.
Oh, Zoom. Oh, that old school stuff from back in the 60s.
The old school stuff. So
yeah.
what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to tape when I create music live. I already did one show.
Okay, cool.
Just created a song. You can see how I take a paintbrush and paint it and create this really cool song. And what I want to do too is I want to do a live streaming, and tell people, okay, the song is going to be created by the audience. Your energy, your vibe is going to help me create this song, and I'm going to do it live. I think that is so cool. I'm working on it. Okay. Anyway, today, and I've been really busy doing all kinds of other things. I have my soil health series. I should have did another one. And the more you do, the better you get at it. Who's this? Oh yeah, I have to go over to my comment section.
Oh man,
Southern grown. Cool, hey man, how you doing? Oh, that's really. Hey everybody, good morning. What is it? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. I guess it's all one day wrapped up.
Well, hey, it's tomorrow in Australia, so you never know who we have people from Ghana coming on the show. So
we have a guest today. No.
Yes, we were here yesterday. We just haven't got there tomorrow yet. But then one moment in time is one moment in time. And we're supposed to be talking about crop rotation.
I know, but who wants to talk about crop rotation? I want to tell you one more thing. It was really cool, really interesting. You'll love it.
Okay.
So, I do the artwork, right?
Yes, I know. So
I'm going to do a show with my artwork as the background.
Well, yeah, you should be.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. I think that's really, really cool. I could have a little picture of him and stuff in the corner and say, "This is one of my latest." Because I do digital artwork as well. That's normally what I am as a digital artist.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my song.
Oh, well, you did promise Silly Lily you were going to write a song for her.
You're right.
Yeah.
Why don't we could do a special. If you wanted to share a screen, I could create a song for her right now if you really wanted. So
no. Because anybody that comes in and sees the thumbnail for this, you're supposed to be talking about crop rotation. So we went a little far afield, Andy.
Don't say what the heck is going on. This guy, no, I'm not. I've done it before in my other shows. I mean, people say, "Wait a minute, I came to watch this, and now I'm watching this, and what is going on here?"
I keep trying to pull us back to topic, Andy. So,
Okay.
We got to give at least 15 minutes to a half hour on actual crop rotation, So give me your knowledge. Come on.
Okay. So there's many different ways of crop rotation for many different reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so there's standard ones. You never grow the same thing twice in the same place. And so on, right? And the idea basically being you don't pass on diseases. Do you encourage different plants have different properties in the soil, whether they have different microbes or different trace minerals? There's also companion planting, how you can rotate that. And so, but the idea is basically maybe imitate nature in terms of rotating the planting, right?
Yeah.
Right. So
it's not necessarily the right thing to do with the new information that's coming out, though. Because they're finding that the biology, you might not want to put the same type of lettuce in the same spot, but still use a lettuce in that row because the biology is similar. And then the plant doesn't have to build a whole new biological system in its area to start getting the benefits. A lot of the biology is already there.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Not quite exactly the same, but it's the basic thing. Because what I really wanted to talk about is that, each of these plants have their own biology that come with it.
Yeah.
There's a really good advantage if you have the biology in the soil that's tailor-made for that plant, so to speak. And it'll do much better than if you keep rotating, because every time you rotate, you bring different biologies to the soil.
And they have to get the soil back in balance for who that plant is, and not the last plant that was there.
Exactly right. Exactly right. So that's what I wanted to get across, is that because if we're sticking to the title, it's a biology, then basically it's exactly that. Because different, and one of the things I learned in the home environment, the homeowner's environment, is that you have a blend of plants from around the world. They all have all different biologies, all being in the same
all
spot.
Different watering regimens, and are used to different temperatures. And it's kind of crazy. Like working in Malibu, you've got to see plants, like you said, from all over the world, and then try to make the biology work for all of them.
Right. So on that point, what I do is I say, okay, I'm going to just blend the microbes as much as possible so it covers a wide range of biologies rather than do it for one. Because in the beginning, I used to say, well, wait a minute, I can make the biology for here, but these plants are not even from here.
Yeah.
Like the palm trees. Palm trees are not native to California, right? You know what I mean? So it's like an endless amount of frangipanis, you name the plant, and the vegetables too. The vegetables are from all, I mean, I myself, I'm really bad at it because I buy vegetables from China, vegetables from Japan, right? Which I think is really cool. But when you think about it, well, wait a minute, that Japanese, for example, in Japan, it's very different biology than here. So how does that plant grow here? My experience has been the plant doesn't really like it. So you have to baby it along because it's going, what are you talking about? Where is it? Right? It's not the same thing, but you can eventually, help it to grow there, but it will never be as good as in the genetic structure is for that other place.
Yeah.
And that's also part of the problem when you're trying to grow plants in an environment that the biology just is not genetic. It takes thousands, millions of years. What?
It does. In some of the soils you get to work with, biology doesn't exist because it's just dead dirt. They don't understand they need biology.
Right. So the whole idea of crop rotation makes sense in the beginning when you think about, okay, I'm going to rotate my crops. So why am I rotating the crops? To prevent diseases and stuff, right? But if you didn't rotate the crop, and if you had the right plant growing, because it's really a process of a combination of things. One is you want to have the right plant. Where am I? I'm over here. The right plant.
A plant like it for me, because I'm up in Canada, and we get hard winters. There's a lot of plants just won't grow in my grow zone that will obviously grow in yours.
Exactly right.
So having that right plant and creating or having your what they call the local terroir.
Terroir?
Yeah, terroir. And it's the local environment, and that includes temperature, humidity, barometric pressure, the whole 9 yards.
And that determines the biology. That automatically determines partially, the biology. Grows. And this biology has been in that area, in that same location, for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. That's how. Do you know
about the blueberry patch up? I think it's in Montana. It's a valley of blueberries which want acidic soil. Outside, it's the normal soil, but as it grows, it's changing the soil. And they say, well, don't keep planting the same plant in the same area. Well, this patch is thousands of years old.
Right.
Still healthy as sin.
Right. And the biology have evolved in that spot to do really, really well there. And you take that and start them somewhere else, you're completely changing the environment, changing the conditions in which that biology. So the biology at first will probably try to evolve into something that it can't survive it, which would be different. Mm-hmm. It will be completely different than what you have. So who knows what you're going to end up with.
Well, and Dr. James White talks about the horizontal gene transfer, where when two biologies meet and from different environments, they can share genetic information for the new biology to fit into or start to fit into that environment, but it takes a long time.
Right.
You know,
That's pretty much what I do with a homeowner. I
mhm.
do. What did you call it? A horizontal. What was it?
Horizontal gene transfer. The biology actually interconnects, talks to each other, and creates better biology.
Well,
That's,
that's pretty much what I do for the homeowner. As I said, I
yeah,
get wide variety,
is
a
diggity.
variety of different biologies.
Yeah.
Make a soup. What I do is I call it primordial soup. I make a liquid of it. The liquid is one of the easiest way for me to work with, even though I was working with compost before. But compost, that's a whole different story. But in terms of you trying to encourage the biology for a wide variety of all these different beings, I call them beings, trees,
Yeah.
plants, roses, lawns. I mean, you look at it, it's like from all over the world. It's like, holy cow, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
they have not. They're only in this area. What? Not even 50 years, because in 100 years they weren't here, right? You know what I mean? Right? 50, maybe 50 years you have these plants going in. Some even sooner that were brought here. You
Mm-hmm.
know, I think the oldest is maybe 100. Because how old is the United States, right? You know what I mean? And the plants.
Well, let's go to. Should we go like billions of years? Because it actually is. But
Well, you know what I mean.
How long has man been in the North America? Thousands, man. Like the natives go back. How Peru and the temples, the Aztecs. We've been here, but those plants haven't been here, which is the point you're trying to make. The
Right.
companion planting. You mentioned that earlier, and more roots in the soil is going to help because that helps with that horizontal gene transfer.
So in companion planting, what I've learned is I like the combination, but I don't know if I really call it a companion planting
Mm-hmm.
because it's more of I've learned that there's certain types of trees, for example.
Right.
Trees are really, really cool in what they do in terms of how they take care of all the plants around them, because they're
Mm-hmm.
basically one big giant ball of mycorrhiza, and the network
Yeah.
underneath the root system extends, really covers a whole massive amounts of areas.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if you look at a side view of a tree, you see the roots, and if you were able to see, you would see all the mycorrhiza network, how it
Mm-hmm.
would just go way beyond the roots, but they basically are clumping around the big roots, and they expand out. And you see all the little plants and all the little things growing right in amongst and so
Mm-hmm.
they're taking it, and at the same time, it's not only nutrition that's being transferred, but it's a source of communication. I call it the network, the internet of the soil.
And I agree 100%. On looking at it that way, that's Mother Nature's supercomputer. That's that's her senses. Let's call them right, where she can know what's going on in an area, and we've been killing it. I mean, like, how dumb have we been that we've been killing? The thing that is supposed to help our system, but I think a lot of times in because of where you're working and the different variety of plants you're dealing with, you were mentioning that liquid is a lot easier for you, and you're doing a lot of foliar spraying.
Right.
So, are you using the crop rotation methodology in your sprays, like different seasonal
Right.
sprays that you're
Throughout the
applying?
right. So first thing what I do is I've learned to have uh, and I think I wrote it in one of my books. The greater the diversity, the greater the diversity of the biology.
Mm-hmm.
It's something I've forgotten exactly the way I wrote it down. I thought it was really clever, but basically said you want to have more biology than stars. You
Oh
know,
yes, definitely.
you want to have the greater diversity of the microorganisms, and not just one type. You want to have so many different varieties, and that you haven't discovered half of them, and so that's what you want. And so when I make my liquids, I learned that that I can, because of water, I can incorporate so many different sources into one mixture, and I've learned how they interreact together over the years.
Yeah.
You can make a liquid. I call it a primordial soup.
Mm-hmm.
So it reminds me of the old days primordial soup, how that soup was where life comes from. So I would blend different sources, and I'm more than happy to talk about some of them on here. So what I would buy, it would be like a free commercial for them. Maybe we'll get them as a sponsor. But I've been using a cool number of products that are very highly biologically alive. Then you learn how to blend them together, and then that's just one part of it. Because the other part, and the most important part, see, because these things you buy them they're in bags, and they're like dry powder form. You know, they're not really. You look under a microscope.
You're not paying for water, Andy, which is a lot more intelligent thing. You know, buy the powder, don't pay extra for the water.
Right. Well, but the point is that these are good. They have it says all the different types of microbes that they have, an endoecto mycorrhizae in it. So they have a good foundation. I've always been a little bit of a chemist, so I would go by like the humic acid lady.
Yeah.
Get source humic acid. I would use all different types of rock dust, and it's not because normally the rock dust is done by Mother Nature. There's rocks everywhere, and they're crushed, and there's that the microbes can get at. But I've learned if I want to foliar feed these guys, I want to imitate all that.
Yeah.
So that's what I do. I get a blend of the different sources of minerals in the forms of rocks, basically, right?
Yeah.
The earth, and then I get different forms of bacteria, enzymes. I got two really cool enzyme products you guys would love. I would love to turn you on to them because they're absolutely amazing enzymes. And one of them is made for enzymes in boron. And so it's a really cool boron is an essential element that we really need for a variety of things. I have a source of rock dust that's really cool. It's 30% calcium. So anyway, you want to get a wide, and then of course I talked about the C90, which is 90 trace minerals.
Yeah.
I
got to get me some of that stuff.
Right, because it's all about the minerals.
Yeah.
So,
well, it's the components that a cell is made of, and if you don't have those in there, how can that cell ever be made? Because it doesn't have the building blocks.
That's why we talk a lot about the biology, because the biology is what makes available the minerals. That's the thing. That's the thing. Because I want to get at the minerals, and I tried eating minerals. It doesn't really work for me.
Gritty in the teeth. Yeah.
So, but so what I try to do is I try to imitate nature, but in a liquid form, so I can foliar feed. Because I've learned when I go to a customer's property, the root system, the trees are going, and
they're on their death kneels, going, help.
Yeah, that their root systems are not properly working. They have roots there, all right, but if you were to open up the earth and look at the roots and try to find any root hairs on these guys, you'll find that there's nothing growing on there. So you have this chunk of root there. Normally, it's full of a lot of little fibrous root hairs. Yeah. That's where all the microbes live in, and transfer to the tree, right, from the soil to the tree through these root hairs, which are entirely different names for the different microbes that live on the root hair. They don't have that. Nitrogen, chemical fertilizers doesn't need root hairs. It goes zoom right in there, right, like a shot.
That's why there's no root hairs. Yeah,
that's why there's no root hair. So I've learned. So in that takes time to rebuild the soil. Remember we talked about that the soil is basic. When I say the soil is alive, I don't mean that the soil is alive. I mean that the biology is alive, but the biology lives in the soil. The soil is the condominium that they live in, the structure that they live in.
Yeah, and you want to see that those structures, you want to have that aggregation in your soil, but you don't want to pull it up because just think they built that city and you just shook it all apart. Please stop doing that. Just saying. That's what rototilling does. It destroys everything, crumbles all it. Because I was talking to some kids the other day about the different layers of the soil. It's a layer because it's like a different floor: first floor, second floor, third floor, fifth floor. You know what I mean? And I was also talking to some kids about how deep do roots go down. A lettuce plant has roots 15 feet that will go down. 15 feet, a lettuce plant. Mm-hmm.
And if you were to select, it all depends on the soil too, because if you have
Of course, the
if you
soil
have
structure.
really nice humus soil
Yeah.
like they have in other places, yeah, the
Lots
roots
of
are just,
organic material for it to the biology to feed on, and feed that to the biology that builds the cell of the plant.
it
Yeah.
has to do a lot with how much area they can cover, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when the network goes out, they're covering a lot of area, and that works in a lot of different ways. Remember, I told you about how the cosmic ray shoots through the earth. Well,
Yeah.
when you have all this area, you know they're getting it. You know it's
Yep.
going to be going right straight to them. It's not like there's one little piece that missing. No, they have it's like a big giant antenna.
It's like having all the tickets for the lottery. You're gonna win.
Yeah, it's like having a big antenna in the soil. That's what it is. It's one big network, right? So like anytime you think of a network, I think of it as an antenna because everything picks up. Everything's is an amazing way to think of it, how deep a 100-foot tree goes down, right?
Yeah.
There's a law. It's a simple law: as above, so below.
Exactly.
So you can look at a 100-foot tree. You know that the main roots go down 100 feet. That's just the main roots. You're not even talking about all the feeder roots, all the mycelium, all the mycelium network that would produce.
Network.
Because if you were to look at a tree, you know how they have different roots. Each one of those roots has enormous amounts of mycelium growing around it, a whole friggin' network around it, which extends.
If there's life around it. Now, what's the problem is you keep running into these people that have wiped out all that life.
There's nothing
right?
there. Nothing there, right? And it's really sad because I feel like Superman because I can look at the slice it with my vision, right?
Yeah.
And I can see and the roots are well. What happened from experience? I've learned that because of as above so below. If you were to look at a tree and you see the big giant, just say that 100-foot tree, right?
Yeah.
If that was happening, if it was in stressed out condition the way it is now, you will see the tips of the top of it start to decay a little bit. You show some signs of it wilting or the tip.
Yeah.
And that is actually corresponding to what's going on in the soil in the actual same space upside down. Flip it upside down. That's what's going on in that root system there. So if you slice it sideways and you look at that, you go, those root systems down there are dying. They're just going, nothing's happening. They're shriveling up. And it takes a while for the people to see, because there's a disease called sudden death.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what happens, right? The next day the thing is whoosh, gone.
Yeah. Well, when your biology dies, that's it. You're done. Poof, gone. I know I've had it happen on a cannabis grow, where just they were beautiful. The next day they were dead. Poof, gone.
So here are these people, $1 million homes, spend thousands, if not hundreds of thousands to landscape their place, put all these trees in, and they were getting. I can only speak about here, but in this area where I live, I moved here for a reason because it's really zone 11 in the planning guide. Okay, zone 11. Okay, you move 2 miles inland, you're in zone. You're in 100-degree temperatures, right? You know what I'm saying, right? You know what I mean? It's a whole different environment, and this is one of the few places that can actually have soil. But what's happening is lately, and especially this past year, whenever you get anything close to 90 degrees, well, first of all, in Malibu, we never got anything over than 89, 87 degrees, and that was when the extreme heat.
Right.
A few miles inland, it's like 98, 104. It's like, right? And then there's no water. It's dry. We're going through a drought. And then we get massive amounts of water. That water did not go in the soil.
Hell no. It just ran off.
Just went off to the ocean, right?
Yeah.
So in Malibu, it's as you get, people keep saying, what is going on? What is going on? Why is my tree doing this? Why am my tree doing? Well, take a slice, look at it sideways, and then figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Because you'll see that, because for a long time there used to be underground rivers flowing everywhere down from different places, all underneath it. See, and they're all dried up because in the last few years we've been mining deeper wells to get to the water. This own well,
and your soil has been collapsing and compacting in some of the valleys there.
Exactly right.
Right. And it'll never be able to fill back up as an aquifer because the clay platelets have laid down flat instead of having the space like they're supposed to.
And they become cement, and they become cement, and no
Yes.
air, no
Yeah.
nutrition goes back and forth, and that's the end of that. We go back to being in a desert environment. So what's happening with these people is that they don't realize that their key, that what they have to do is bring in more soil. Bring something that becomes a barrier between the root systems and the heat. Bring something that becomes a barrier that allows the biology to survive there. Bring something that allows to retain some of the water. And these, I don't know
They
if you
need a
remember.
nice mulch layer, a really, really nice mulch layer, or cover crops that are in there. The more roots in the soil and the more shade for the soil, and the more feed for the biology to break down to give to the biology in the plant. That's the key. But they're like landscapers pull it all off, like you say.
That's exactly what's going on. It's
Yeah.
like this one lady's into a very clean habit, and then she wants to have a meadow in her lawn. And so I first said, don't pull up any of the weeds. They have good roots. The weeds are right there. They're catching the water. They're helping to aerate the soil. Why do you want to pull them up? Because, well, they're weeds. Then I planted a whole bunch of seeds. They came up, and then they were going to. Normally, you will grow stuff. There are different kinds of flowers that you can get. A wide range of flowers, whether they be native. I like growing California poppies. There are different kinds of poppies you can grow. Different kinds of native grasses that you can grow that have a massive amounts of root systems that work really, really well, in this type of environment. Let anything grow. Quit hauling away the organic matter, throwing it in the trash. I was just on Saturday. I'm going back to a customer who has this incredible shredder, and I'm so excited to see people with a shredder because every time a branch or leaf, whoosh, goes through there, and you end up with this matter. And he's making compost out of it. I'm showing him how to do the different layers of different things with it. Right? Don't let anything go out. We're going to be doing I can't say anything, but he's a movie producer, and we're going to be doing some cool shows. He's getting the whole property water filtration system because, again, the junk in the water is killing the biology. I mean, if I didn't know better, I would say we're doing this on purpose. If I didn't know better, I would say we're doing it on purpose.
Well, I often think that I would have to say that I agree with that statement 100%.
I mean, how can you do that?
Somebody's doesn't like the human species, man.
How can you be doing that by accident? No, it has to be on purpose. I mean, here's a combination of let's get toxic chemical fertilizers. Let's put chemicals in the water. Let's put chemicals in the air. Let's make sure we have lots of plastic. Oh yeah, let's have radiation everywhere too. We really like that. Throw a little bit of nuclear power radiation too. Let's do that, and let's figure out some other things that we could do to the soil, to our
Roundup. I mean, how do they still sell that in the store after they lost $100 million to the case in New York? It's proved to be bad, but yet it's still in the stores. How does that happen? And that's not just North America. That's everywhere, man.
That's everywhere.
It hasn't banned it anyway.
And to me, it's like, holy cow. So it's money talks. Just pay everybody. Yeah, go ahead, sue me. Yeah, you get 40 million. Fine. Here's 40 million. We're making 50 trillion. We're still coming out ahead. And it's really weird because that is affecting the biology of the soil and our biology too. I mean, a lot of times when I say soil, I also say the biology of the soul. Right? Yeah, the biology of the soul.
Well, it's a key because we're related to the plants, the animals, humans. It's all the same biology. And if we're killing it in one area, well, then we're not getting it like we're supposed to be, and we're killing ourselves.
Right. It's like only an idiot would cut off your left hand slowly.
Yeah. Cut your nose off to spite your face.
And so that is a tough one. And I'm not going to give up on it because basically, what else would you do? So the only thing you can do is just keep doing what you're doing in terms of trying to educate people, trying to tell people. And I think more and more people are understanding that there is something to the soil that they need to pay attention to, because the system.
And Andy, your one lit candle can light many without ever diminishing its own light. That's why we're both here. We're
One
trying
lit candle
to
can burn a house
use.
down. One lit candle can burn a house down.
Well, it can burn their house down, and we'll come out on the other side with healthy soil and healthy people, healthy animals, healthy plants. That's the goal I have, anyway.
So anyway, um, it's so what I do is I've learned to do a triage on the property. You know what triage
Yeah,
is, right?
yeah.
You do
Yeah,
whatever it takes.
military application of you're wounded, get in here, lay down. We're going to try to bandage you up as best as we can till we can fix you.
What's a hot? What's it? What is? Show me that last one. Hot looks.
Hortilux.
What is
It's
that?
a type of light, Andy. Hortilux SE600, tube blue, MH2 ceramic, HPS2 super HPS.
Is that for something growing indoors? Isn't it? It looks like it. It's like
yes.
LED?
Yeah,
No,
he
it's
does DWC, deep water culture, and uses tree sap as his food source.
Cool. Where is he?
One of these days he's going to actually be allowed to come on the program because he's doing some wild stuff.
Well, cool. I missed that because I like what he said. Oh, there's a person said about a chipper shredder. Vermont makes a DR chipper shredder.
It was
Vermont. Yes, it's Vermont makes a DR chipper shredder.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what DR must be a name of it.
It's a brand name, DR.
I used the KEMP shredder, which is an amazing one because it had these giant bars as a grinding wheel. Like 6 of them, And when I made compost, I run everything through that shredder, speed up my composting process. Where at the end of 30 days, I had really rich compost as opposed to 60 or even 90 days because you have to break everything to break down. Wait everything to break down. So I would get animal manure, throw it through there. Chickens, you throw them through there. All kinds of things, you throw it through there and grind it up.
Everything plus the kitchen sink, Ma, just tuck her in.
But I learned to. So what I do is, do I get time? Are we running out? No. Okay, good.
Oh no, we got time.
So when I do the customers, I do I automatically know that their property, the trees are sick.
Right.
Usually, what happens is that people wait until the trees are really sick to call me, rather than wait while call me when the trees are doing well. And I understand that, but it makes more sense to help you keep you from getting cancer than to help you get rid of the cancer.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? It makes more sense to go
preventative medicine.
Peace
pipes up.
Oh, peace pipes up. I get it. That's what we all need to do, right?
Well, I was a little while ago.
So I've learned that they call me when there's usually an emergency.
Yeah.
Right. It's usually like, oh my God, this thing is dying. So I've learned that foliar feeding is really the only way you can get food into their little bodies. And even then, they only absorb when you first. So when I first started using foliar feeding, I didn't use anything alive. I didn't have any microbes or anything. I would buy different products in the market, organic fertilizers that I could use, make into a liquid. The fish emulsion. I did like fish emulsion because it's really alive. It's a very highly biologically alive product, but it also happens to be very stinky if you're going to use it. You have an accident with it, or any of that stuff, you're in deep trouble.
Don't get it on your skin because you don't want to go anywhere.
And I used it in my sprayer, and my sprayer smelled like a fish for 6 months, maybe a year. You smell me coming, and I tried to do whatever I could to hide the smell. So I said, no, I'm not going to use fish emulsion anymore. And no, I don't care if they say if we made it smell good, it's still stinky. So in the beginning, what I would make my own mixtures to spray. It was really very fast when I've learned that Lots of things are very highly biologically alive when you make them. I learned about the Korean farming,
Natural farming, yeah.
Korean natural farming, really early because I was talking to Super NASA 83. What is that? Who's that? What's going on there? What? Tell
That's
me.
the guy that feeds his plants with tree sap.
Aha. We've been after him for a long time. Right. He's not going to come on here, man. Maybe he would if you don't let him show his face, maybe his voice.
You never know. You never know. We're waiting. We're waiting.
Some people. So anyway, when I gave a talk in
See,
Fayetteville, Arkansas.
one day I'll show my face.
Oh, there it is. There he is.
Hey, ghetto hippie.
Greetings, man. So I started talk. I used to go to Fayetteville, Arkansas, and they would have an organic gardening conference.
Right.
And I was one of the speakers on a regular basis there. So I got to talk to the man who invented EM.
Yeah. Effective microorganisms.
Effective microorganisms, right. And so, and I think he's Korean or Japanese. I forget his name. He's either Korean or Japanese. Definitely.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. So
I think he's Korean.
Yeah, he's Asian, South Asian.
Asian. So he was talking to me about the Korean natural farming and how they make all kinds of liquids from what to have around on their yard and their property, from rice.
Well, I have myself. I have water soluble calcium. I have fish amino acid. Basically, I've made everything but the Oriental herbal nutrients out of the Korean natural farming methodology. The stuff works, but it's really hard to get the science and data to find out why it works.
You mean for your body or for everything?
Well, you can consume all of it, but I was making it for my plants.
Great.
And I was doing foliar feeding on my plants.
Great, because I learned a long time. Well, when I first started doing this, I would actually go to the store and buy milk.
Yeah.
They would say, drink milk for calcium. I go, well, I want calcium on my plants, and of course I couldn't find organic milk. I would buy milk. Now it's organic milk I use, and even to this day I still buy organic milk because I know the micro. That's how I make. You can make a lactobacillus.
Hey, Chad. Yeah, lactic acid bacteria, lactobacillus,
right.
or in labs is what a lot of people say.
Right. So I do that a couple of times a year. I make lab for all my customers. I spray. That's one of the microbes that I spray on people's properties. I've learned that's a very beneficial one all the way around for everybody. Is there something else I'm missing? Yes, it is. Would it be zip boxes?
What?
Oh, I don't get it.
I think you lost me too, man. I'm not even seeing that one. Sip boxes?
So,
sip buckets. Oh, would it be sip buckets?
What's the
sip
bucket?
A wicking system. So you have a water source. Your water's your aquifer, and your trees are sucking it up.
Oh yeah.
When in a grow, you can have a sip system where you're bottom watering and it's being sucked up. Wicking system, sip system. Right. There's lots of different ways to call them.
Right. I did that a few times with my plants in terms of seeing because I can make my super seaweed in the water and they would suck it right up through the water to the wick, the nutrients. And that's one of the things I learned to do for people in terms of what they absorb, the things that they absorb. And the microbes is something that if you really make a microbiologically rich mixture, you can use it to control diseases. For example, there's a Fusarium wilt on a palm that a lady had, and the guy says, well, nothing you can do for it. But I have pictures of it now. I'm trying to get a hold of him. He's avoided me. But the plant is doing really, really well. It doesn't have, because mainly Fusarium wilt stops it from absorbing nutrition, the plants.
Mm-hmm.
And you see, and the microbes, actually, I believe that microbes combated the disease and made the nutrition flow again through the body, through the tree's body.
Yeah.
You see,
and I know some people are using kombucha for powdery mildew.
Kombucha, right? Because that's another
Yep.
highly biological. I
Yeah.
can take it a little bit, but it's really, really super. They each have their own biology that you can learn how
Yep.
to use, right, on pests and diseases, because
Yep.
that's a different approach. Yeah, you spray them, but you spray them with the biology,
Exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And
We've got to teach more people that that's the route they're supposed to be going, right?
right, and they get absorbed through their leaves, through the trunk, and of course you do. I spray the soil, so I don't have
Yeah.
to make two separate mixtures for the soil and for the leaf. It's the very same biology. You go to the
Mhm.
rainforest, you'll find the same microbes floating around up there that you have biology in the soil. It's all when it rains and the water goes up in the air, the whole environment has this whole biology everywhere going on, up and down. So I try to imitate
Yeah.
that, right? Try to imitate that so that when you
Mhm.
spray the leaves, you're actually spraying the biology. I spray a mixture of the bio. What I do is I feed the biology with a good trace
Trace
mineral source.
minerals. Yeah.
A blend of trace minerals. You feed the biology. Have a good time with the trace minerals, and then if it's still in the liquid form, you spray that.
Mhm.
So you have the biology with uh, available that the plants can absorb trace minerals.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah.
wider the biology, the wider the range of trace minerals.
That's why you always mixed calcium and magnesium together, because it was supposed to uptake that much better as a pair of molecules than one or the other.
So what I do is I not only pair them, I pair all other 90 ones, other 90 minerals together
Well,
because
that's because you throw some C90 in there, and then some of this stuff and some of this stuff. You
yeah,
and make them. And then, do you do a lot of different ones for different trees? Do you find, or is it different flowers? Like, is there mixes that you have specifically to different plants, Andy?
over the years I've learned that I have to be careful if it's a flowering plant, for example, if you really
Yeah,
want it to really bloom, uh, and you want it to do colors, or if it's like a palm tree or a non-flowering plant, they would get a
yeah,
slightly different formulation. Lawns, I would get a little bit different formulation. Roses, I would tend to give them a little fruit trees, give them a little different formulation. But there's a basic formula that goes underground beneath everything. The
hmm,
main mixture is a basic formulation of the microbes, but it's the trace minerals and the combination how much of each. The best is to provide a wide, small amount of trace minerals rather than say 5 pounds of this or 5 pounds of that. So I stopped. In the beginning, I used to buy different things. Now I buy things that already have a blend. They already are a blend, right? So the
yeah, yeah,
C90 is already blended in there, the trace metals. The rock dust, you get a couple of different kinds. You're going to be increasing the chances of getting a natural blend of all these different types of trace minerals. See, right? But some plants, like Mary Jane plants, they like to have a different formulation when they're starting to grow, and a different formulation for bloom. So I learned how to change that around enough so it fits for the plant. Yeah,
yeah,
C90 is for is they you can use it for. You just have to remember it's a salt,
yeah.
and you don't want to do too much, yet you need it for the electrolytes and the trace minerals that you get from it.
Yeah.
So I
Well,
take a
I
little bit
know.
on a regular basis. Look at me, hasn't done anything to me
Yeah,
yet.
you're as crazy as they come, you old pirate. I don't
It hasn't done
know,
anything to me yet. And I don't know if they may have a version of it for people because if you if they're selling it for people, it has to say for human consumption on it.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if you use it, it doesn't say for human consumption. It's up to you to use it. They're not saying it's for human consumption. I've never really talked to them or said anything. I don't know what they would say. And I haven't gone to their website recently, but I heard
yeah.
somewhere that they may have a version of it for humans to take. It's just to be a little cleaner. That's all it is. It's the same product,
Well,
that doesn't have
exactly.
right. I put a little bit on my tongue on a regular basis. It's really I can feel the difference. But I also the same thing with my body. I also do the same thing. I try to get a wide range of trace mineral sources. By the way, I haven't done the humic thing yet. I still haven't eaten yet since I talked to you last. That's how bad it is.
Yes, of course, of course, yes. But
so
the thing is, Andy, you're your own worst enemy when it comes to that. So I'm not gonna say anything, brother. Like, you pick on yourself on that one.
I'm actually doing pretty good. I'm working on building muscles, which also requires trace minerals, right? So and I do the same thing for myself in terms of the way I treat myself. But I could eat better, but I just can't go out and eat junk. I really do not
Yeah.
like eating junk. I get really sick really fast from it. My biology, my body is not geared for junk. I mean, I don't have a problem with dairy if I go out to a farm and the cattle is healthy and the milk is healthy and clean and doesn't have anything in it.
Yeah.
I'm fine with that. My body says great. But when you do something that has more sugar in it than dairy and some other stuff in it, or whatever other junk it's in there, it's like no. Same thing with meat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard to,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
Well,
It's
and
very
you're
good.
not getting the nutrients out of the plants because most plants aren't grown with biology, so they don't even have the minerals in them to give to us.
Birch trees are really. There are lots of trees that really are. One of the things I like about trees is they do, uh, because of their mycelium network, really spread out trace minerals over a wide area.
Mm-hmm.
They really do an amazing job. And I know for a fact that trees help other trees to recover because the mycelium roots go all the way over to this sick tree, and you see it's barely got maybe lightning hit it or something, and it would still be growing and
Mm-hmm.
getting nutrition from all the other trees around it. So it spreads the trace minerals around. And my only thing I would say is that, and normally there's just remember, Mother Nature normally replenishes that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe there's an endless supply. I'm not in a bad shape. Come on, for the shape. I mean, what shape is that? You're in good shape for the bad. That's the bad writing, man. You're in good shape for the shape you're in. I guess that's okay. I'm
See,
in good
that's
shape.
when I keep using that one. Okay. I'm in good shape for the shape that I'm in. Okay.
Yeah, any shape is a good shape that you're in, but I understand.
Any day on this side of the ground is a good day for all of us. Okay.
He has to go into the forest for sap, and yeah, because that's the only real place you're going to get the ideal food. A lot of trees, if they don't get it, if they don't get it, they can't put it out. So if they're not getting
Mm-hmm.
the minerals, and it's not another source I think Mother Nature, I know Mother Nature normally replenishes this stuff.
Yeah.
And that's all I really get. I tell people, I'm not saying that I know that normally the minerals, everything is supposed to be there in the soil. It's already there. All you have to have the biology to break it down, because
Yeah.
Mother Nature is always putting it in.
Yeah.
It's a constant
But
cycle that
then
Mother Nature.
we keep taking it off, like in your case in Malibu with these huge yards and these guys that go in and there isn't a leaf left, there isn't a blade of grass left. That's Mother Nature trying to build a humus layer so she can feed herself, and we keep taking it away.
Yeah, and that's the real issue, is that not only do we have to learn how to replenish to bring the biology back, but the biology will not grow in the desert, in my opinion, or in an environment that doesn't have the organic matter and the structure for it to
Mm-hmm.
grow. Something else will go. Some other type of biology is there. Unless you and I know that in the desert you're still going to find some type of biology that lives there. That's whatever
Yeah.
that type,
Yeah.
that whatever that species is, whatever type that likes that kind of environment. But you're not going to be able to really grow the things that we want to grow in that environment because it's not meant for that. There's no way you can do that. You have to
You
bring.
have to have that mulch layer. There has to be able to have a capture of moisture and a food source. And without that mulch layer, there's no food source. The biology can't survive.
And so that's the issue that I'm trying to get across to owners. You cannot
Yeah.
have a sterile environment. Keep everything clean. Don't let nature do her thing. When was the last time you brought any soil in? When's the last time you brought any compost in? And
Mm-hmm.
if you haven't done any of those, of course you're not bringing any biology in, so you're not doing
Yeah.
any of the things that you really should be doing all along.
You
Just
have
like
to be doing if you want
just
your
like in
trees
your
to
body,
survive.
just like in your body, you have to
Yeah.
take care of your body. If you otherwise, it's going to go slowly. Going to have diseases and pests. And to
Mm-hmm.
say fix the disease and the pest, but don't even look at why it's happening in the first place is really ridiculous and absurd.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh, sure, I'll fix your plants. Just give me $1,000 a month for the rest of your life, and it's normal for me to come and try this. It's like the same thing with medicine. You know, I'll keep you alive, but I'm not going to tell you, you know, in the beginning that you really should take care of yourself and eat better and other stuff. But I hope you die, but it's going to be a slow death. These guys are having a good discussion. Super Nesto 83. Where is he at anyway? Do you know?
Southern Ontario, over
cool.
by Detroit Lakes, Michigan, if I understand correctly.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what I have to do is I have to. Interesting enough, these people are really a little bit insane because if they learn how to do it themselves, they don't have to pay so much money.
I love how you say that. Yeah, they're just a little insane, but yeah, like it's in understanding. It's in the education, Andy.
They'd rather pay people a lot of money to do it for them than for them to do it themselves as part of what they normally should do it. I was wealthy. I would tell my gardener, you're going to make a compost pile. You can't do a pile, do a bin. You're going to get a shredder. You're not going to throw one single leaf or one branch out. And you're going to recycle everything. We're going to clean the water. We're going to have water filter for the whole property because the city junk city water, the city coming out of this property is killing it.
Everything,
and it wouldn't be long before you had, ideally, and I understand people probably malleable. I would live on a farm and with animals and really do it right. Mm-hmm. That's the way to do it because that's why you live on a farm. You have all this ability. You don't have to go anywhere. That's what sustainability is, right? The animals are born and die. You have every creature, you got everything going on, and then your biology is building up all the time. That's the way it happens in nature, right? Normally, you take away all the cities, the fences, and all that stuff. That's what happened. So and you can only keep that up for so long because you have desertification, right? You have nothing growing on, which is what we need. We need more and more things growing, more roots in the soil. And the service we want to say more boots on the ground, we get more roots in the soil.
You bet.
And that's what it's really all about. So I think we talked last week about cover crop, right?
Yeah. I think that was last week.
Roots in the ground.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what you have to do because no roots in the ground, there's nothing, no biology is going to take hold there.
Yeah.
And that's,
I remember we mentioned the horizontal gene transfer.
Right.
There's none of that happening if there's no other plants there
to transfer
with their biology to transfer information.
Right. So and that's really in certain cases I was reading about certain wild plant like the mustard plant was brought over here by the Jesuits, a priest, and the mustard seeds. They're taken all over California, and they seclude a certain type of biology that prohibits other types of biologies from growing.
There's a few different plants like that, if I remember right.
Right? Isn't that
cool?
cool?
Look, the blueberries. I was mentioning that field of blueberries. It's
nothing else will grow except them,
locking out the other biology in other plants as it expands.
Right, and so that's amazing because it goes both ways. It goes where biology is open to everybody, or biology is just open to just this particular species that have learned that it's as if they generate the biology. The blueberries generate the biology through their secretion and stuff.
Exactly.
They make the biology special for them. That is
actually,
really
I think
cool.
It's the biology that makes them so special. But yeah, that people still disagree with me. But it's all about the biology. I'm just saying.
I don't see how they can be. What is it? The Golden Horse Show for a reason. What's a Golden Horse Show?
That one I can't actually tell you. You never know. Like there's so many different things and traditions, but as far as that, it could be just a horse show that happens in Southern Ontario.
It's a tree sap.
It's a tree sap. Well,
it's a tree sap. Well,
I don't know.
Have you ever heard? I bet you Super Nessie has. That's what has is. There's a pine tree that the sap is supposed to be really, really incredible for, and it's used I know a person that sells it. I bought some the other day, and I used it all up already. It's for enzymes in the body. It helps promote absorptions, and that's from a pine tree.
Southwestern Ontario is where he's from.
So anyway, guys, visit my website, visiblegardener.com. I have a really cool gardening series. This one's called Soil Health. So
Yeah.
I'm on to the third series. There's 4 of them. There's 10 whole series on soil health, and then
Yeah.
I'm working on doing more and more stuff. I'm going to do something on the worm farm. I'm going to be doing something on how, like we talked about making liquids. So I've talked to you about how you can use rice to make liquids. There are lots of other things you can make liquids that you can spray in your property and your grounds. Make it yourself. You don't have to worry about, and you'll find that they do work. You can actually test the liquid if you want to see what's in it. Oh, we're going to do something about the refractometer. I think I used it already once. Did I use it here?
But yeah, we did. We actually did a show on refractometer. I don't know how much it was actually on the refractometer, but we did a show titled refractometer. But we have a tendency to go over here and then go over there.
What I want to do is I want to figure out a way to, because I have this great book that I got from this guy, which has a chart, but I also have my own chart. So you can actually see in the refractometer, you see what you see in terms of the numbers and stuff like that. And I'd like to be able to talk to other people out in the audience if they're using a refractometer, their experience with it, because you'll find it's a really, really cool tool. I'm using it in this guy's garden. I measured his citrus, his orange. It was an 8. Okay. It was an 8. Do you know anything about? So
no, I don't.
So if you were to given 2 measurements, one has an 8 and the one has a 23, which one would you eat?
I would say, understanding a bit about the refractometer, the 23 would be a lot healthier and have a lot.
Even if you didn't understand anything, you would say, "Well, I would go with the 23."
Yeah.
Right. You would say, "Well, I'll pick 8 because it's the lowest." You would go, "That has a high number. I'm going to pick 23." And 23 is where citrus should be at.
Okay.
And he thought the citrus was doing good. And of course, I told him last time I was there, the whole property is going into a mineral deficiency. Because he made compost, he didn't do any fertilization, everything's growing in the compost, and now they're having issues. And he's missing a very simple thing is the trace minerals. What he's really missing is the biology in his garden. So he set it up, and he didn't set it up for the biology. So first thing we're doing is we're getting a drip system, a soaker system, a filtration system that will filter out the city waters coming into the garden. He's also building a really cool compost bin. It's 3 bins he's going to be putting together, making the compost. I already introduced him to rock dust. I'm going to introduce him to some more sources of biology that he can start using. He's going to make a worm farm on his own place as well. He only has chickens, but he has sources of other animals. So he's going to be working on his biology, and that's what I'm going to be talking about this Saturday on his because he's going to tape it, and we're going to see what happens. But it's all about the biology and the minerals. It's all about the minerals and how the biology makes the minerals available. And if you don't get anything else from this show, they help it a lot when it comes to harvesting fruit and vegetables, looking like your trichomes and the refractometer. There you go. So a refractometer also tells you how much minerals you have. So if you look up refractometer and you look up the fuzzy rule level, you'll see what it says about minerals. Because the more minerals you have, the less the line between the black and the white. That's how you tell the levels that and that line is where the number is. Is when it gets real
Andy,
fuzzy.
maybe we should invite Mr. Chad Westport to come on with us next week, and he can talk to us more directly about this. How about it, Chad?
Anybody that's had experience, it's really cool because you learn how to use it, not just for vegetables, but you learn how to use it on your roses. Vegetables because you want to eat it. You want to eat it at the right time. The same thing with your food, your citrus, tomato plants. And also it tells you if you're like this guy, he thought he was doing really good, but he only had an 8.
Yeah. We mentioned boron earlier. Boron is really important for tomatoes.
Exactly right. Boron is very important for a lot of plants. And so you have to learn how to really be a good chef to provide a wide range of trace minerals to your plants. And you have to use whatever tool is available to you outside of yourself. That's why we can talk about pH, and you can learn how to test the pH. But what is this? The goal of the garden.
This is the perfect point.
Cold cellar for winter, right?
Yeah, the goal of the garden is to always fill that cold cellar. You never have to worry.
And not only fill it, but with food that you can eat and you won't starve.
And it's healthy.
And it's healthy, right? Isn't it awful when you eat something and you're still starving? You see, right? And that's what you want. And people could do that, but you just have to remember it's all about the minerals, but the biology is what gets the minerals out there. And the biology can't survive if it doesn't have the condominiums to live in. If the structure,
the biology that takes those minerals and builds them into the cells.
So when you're building a garden, you're really building a really super city. You're really imitating nature on a small scale. And that's what you want to do because you're part of that. You see, you're part of that. You can enjoy the food that you eat, and you'll be healthier. You won't have these. It's just like the trees will not going to have diseases. You're not going to be having diseases. All the diseases is a trace mineral deficiency, one or another.
Yep.
That's all.
Anyway, Andy, we're at our hour.
I know. I hate to go. I'll go lie down in the corner and I'll be right here till next week.
Yeah. And you'll be doing some art and some music and playing pirate because you like to play pirate, you old pirate.
Yeah, I really enjoy being a pirate. So thank you guys. And take care now. We'll see you next week. Remember, invinciblegardener.com. Heal the soil and you heal your stuff.
Exactly. And guys, for tomorrow, with the sun and the moon, we don't have a guest, but with those two ladies, we don't really need it. They're going to be talking about the cation exchange capacity. So you're not going to want to miss that one for tomorrow night, guys. So till then, we'll see you ending the stream, guys.